Sergio Michel Pérez Mendoza was born on January 26, 1990, in Guadalajara, Mexico, into a family steeped in motorsport. His older brother, Antonio, raced in the Mexican NASCAR series, and their father, Antonio Pérez Garibay, owned a car dealership, fostering Checo's early fascination with speed. At age 6, Pérez began karting, often competing against older drivers in Mexico's junior categories. His family sacrificed weekends traveling across the country, with Checo sleeping in his racing suit during long drives to balance school and competitions. By 2002, Pérez had become a national karting champion, but Europe's elite racing circuits felt worlds away. With no Mexican F1 driver since Hector Rabaque in 1981, Pérez's ambition seemed audacious. Yet at 14, he cold-emailed European teams from his family's home, leveraging broken English and relentless persistence. "I'd wake up at 3 a.m. to call Germany," he recalled. "My parents were furious about the phone bills." In 2005, Pérez landed a seat in Germany's Formula BMW 8X series with 4-Speed Media, a small team operating out of a restaurant. With no winter clothes or German language skills, he lived in a truck stop and relied on hand signals to communicate with mechanics. "Everyone looked at us like, 'What are you doing here?'" he admitted. Despite finishing 14th in his debut season, Pérez's raw talent caught the eye of Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim, whose Telmex sponsorship became a lifeline. By 2007, Pérez dominated the British Formula 3 national class, winning 14 of 21 races. His tire management skills, later a hallmark of his F1 career, began to shine. "I learned to make tires last while others burned theirs," he said. A 2010 GP2 runner-up finish to Pastor Maldonado cemented his reputation as a rising star, earning him a spot in Ferrari's Driver Academy. Pérez's 2011 Sauber debut was a baptism by fire. At the Australian Grand Prix, he stunned observers by finishing 7th on a one-stop strategy, a feat unmatched that season, only to be disqualified for a rear-wing technical violation. A horrific Monaco crash later that year left him concussed, but he returned with grit, securing points at Silverstone. The 2012 season marked his breakthrough. At the rain-soaked Malaysian GP, Pérez hunted down Fernando Alonso's Ferrari, closing to within 0.5 seconds before a late mistake cost him victory. "I could taste the win," he said post-race. Podiums in Canada and Italy followed, earning him the nickname the Mexican Wonderkind, and McLaren's attention as Lewis Hamilton's replacement. Pérez's 2013 move to McLaren promised glory but delivered disillusionment. The MP428, plagued by aerodynamic flaws, left him battling teammate Jenson Button for scraps. A 9th-place finish in Australia set the tone. "The car was unpredictable. I couldn't extract what wasn't there," he admitted. By season's end, Pérez had 0 podiums and was dropped for Kevin Magnussen. Ferrari, once his dream, severed ties, leaving his career in limbo. Pérez's early career was defined by paradoxes: a Ferrari Academy graduate discarded by the Scuderia, a McLaren prospect deemed expendable, and a driver whose tire-saving genius outpaced his machinery. Yet these struggles forged his resilience. As Force India's deputy team principal Bob Fernley noted, "Checo didn't break, he learned how to bend." By 2014, Pérez had reinvented himself at Force India, setting the stage for a redemption arc that would redefine his legacy. After the crushing disappointment of his McLaren stint, Sergio Pérez found refuge at Force India in 2014. The team, operating on a fraction of the budget of top-tier rivals, became the proving ground for Pérez's signature skill: tire management. His ability to extend tire life while maintaining competitive lap times turned him into a strategic wildcard. At the 2014 Bahrain GP, Pérez stunned the grid by finishing 3rd, leveraging a one-stop strategy that defied Pirelli's predictions. Over the next 6 seasons, he secured 5 podiums for Force India Racing Point, often capitalizing on chaos ahead, like his 3rd-place finish at the 2016 Monaco GP, where he threaded through a rain-soaked track while frontrunners collided. By 2020, Pérez had become synonymous with consistency. Despite Racing Point's Pink Mercedes controversy, a car accused of replicating Mercedes's 2019 design, he delivered 9 points finishes in 12 races. Yet, in a cruel twist, team owner Lawrence Stroll replaced him with Sebastian Vettel for 2021, leaving Pérez without a seat. The 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix became Pérez's defining moment. Starting fifth, he was spun to last place on lap 1 after contact with Charles Leclerc. Undeterred, he embarked on a charge through the field, overtaking 15 cars in 87 laps. His tactical brilliance shone as he stretched a set of hard tires for 46 laps, surviving a late safety car to claim victory by 10 seconds. The win broke multiple records, first Mexican to win an F1 race since Pedro Rodriguez in 1970. Longest wait for a maiden win, 190 starts. The victory wasn't just redemption, it was a lifeline. Red Bull, desperate to find a teammate capable of supporting Max Verstappen against Mercedes' dominance, signed Pérez days later. Pérez's 2021 debut with Red Bull was rocky. Struggling to adapt to the RB16B's aggressive rear-end design, he failed to reach Q3 in his first 5 races. But in Azerbaijan, he silenced critics. After Verstappen's tire failure, Pérez held off Lewis Hamilton to secure his first Red Bull victory, proving he could deliver under pressure. His true legacy, however, was forged at the 2021 Abu Dhabi GP. With Verstappen trailing Hamilton by 7 seconds, Pérez executed a defensive masterclass. On lap 20, he repassed Hamilton twice in Sector 3, slowing the Mercedes driver by 1.8 seconds per lap. Over team radio, Verstappen roared, "Checo is a legend." The Minister of Defense nickname was born, cementing Pérez's role as F1's ultimate team player. Pérez's 2022-2023 campaigns showcased his duality, a ruthless qualifier and a street circuit specialist. At the 2022 Monaco GP, he capitalized on Ferrari's strategic blunder to claim victory, dedicating the win to his late mentor, Carlos Slim's son. In Singapore 2022, he dominated torrential conditions, leading every lap from pole, a race Red Bull boss Christian Horner called one of the greatest wet weather drives. By 2023, Pérez reached his zenith. He won in Saudi Arabia and Azerbaijan, briefly challenging Verstappen for the title. At the Miami GP, he became the first Mexican to lead the Drivers' Championship, igniting hopes of a historic title, bid 9. Yet, cracks emerged. Verstappen's relentless consistency exposed Pérez's qualifying frailties, and a mid-season slump saw him finish 285 points behind his teammate. The 2024 season became a slow-motion collapse. Pérez opened with podiums in Bahrain and Jeddah, but faltered as Red Bull's RB20 evolved toward Verstappen's driving style. A disastrous $3 million Monaco crash, hitting the barrier at Saint-Devote, symbolized his downward spiral 3. By mid-season, he'd retired from 5 races, including an Abu Dhabi Lap 1 clutch failure that ended his Red Bull career in ignominy. Team principal Christian Horner's June 2024 contract extension backfired, with Pérez admitting, "The car and I stopped understanding each other." His father, Antonio Pérez Garibay, later revealed the toll. He gave everything, but Red Bull's culture leaves no room for second chances. Pérez's Red Bull tenure was a study in contrasts. He delivered 6 wins, 17 podiums, and pivotal teamwork, but remained overshadowed by Verstappen's brilliance. His Minister of Defense heroics redefined the role of a number 2 driver, yet his inability to match Verstappen's raw speed underscored F1's brutal hierarchy. As he departs Red Bull, Pérez leaves a blueprint for resilience, a journeyman who turned midfield grit into global acclaim. For Mexico, he remains a trailblazer, proof that even in a Eurocentric sport, a kid from Guadalajara can scale the summit. The 2024 season began with cautious optimism for Sergio Pérez. Fresh off a career-best P2 in the 2023 Drivers' Championship, he secured podiums in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, trailing Max Verstappen by just 18 points. But cracks emerged as Red Bull's RB20 evolved. Engineers recalibrated the car to suit Verstappen's preference for a loose rear end, exacerbating Pérez's struggles with understeer. By Miami, the gap ballooned. Verstappen won, while Pérez labored to 4th. The breaking point came at Monaco. Pérez, a street circuit specialist, clipped the Saint-Devote barrier on lap 1, shredding his rear suspension in a $3 million crash. "I lost the rear completely. It wasn't my fault," he insisted post-race. Team principal Christian Horner demurred, "Drivers adapt, or they don't survive." Retirements in Canada, Austria, and Hungary followed, each amplifying tensions. In June 2024, Red Bull announced a 1-year extension for Pérez, praising his invaluable teamwork. Privately, the deal was a stopgap while junior Liam Lawson prepared. Perez's performances deteriorated further. At Zandvoort, he qualified 15th, prompting Verstappen to quip, "We're racing alone." The final humiliation came at Abu Dhabi. Perez retired on lap 1 after a clutch failure, his RB20 engulfed in smoke. As he climbed from the car, mechanics avoided eye contact. Days later, Red Bull confirmed his exit. Horner's terse statement, "It didn't work," ignored Perez's 39 podiums and 2 constructors' titles. His impact transcends statistics. The Mexico City GP, revived in 2022, drew 400,000 fans annually, many draped in Perez's green and white colors. "He made us believe," said compatriot Esteban Gutierrez. "Now, Mexican kids see F1 as possible." Sergio Perez's story is one of resilience in a sport that rewards ruthlessness. As the lights dim on his career, Perez's legacy endures, not in championships, but in the hope he ignited, for every kid in Guadalajara dreaming of Monaco. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow for another Today in F1.